Welcome back to another episode of The Pipeline. This is a monster episode. Got a little crypto Twitter power hour going on here. Thanks to all the guests for coming on. We have Pancakesbrah, Jim Talbot, and Ansem. A couple returners in here. And of course, Kevin, our faithful co-host. Thanks for coming on, everyone.
Absolutely.
Yo,
Thanks for having us, Andy.
Yeah. First one was fun, so I was excited to come back.
Facts.
Worth pointing out, every guest on the pod is wearing a hat. Hat stays on.
The hat
That
stays up.
stays on.
This is for Wassiverse, but you know what else is for.
Whipping the Wassies, bro. Whipping the Wassies.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Love it.
We just did a little airdrop, NFT airdrop to all the whiff holders. It was funny.
Oh shit, fire.
Yeah, we did like an NFT airdrop to like all the top whiff holders. So check your wallet.
Fire. Bro, I still have the one I got from when I was in Miami. Fucking Rect gave me the
Please
Wassie.
keep it. Please keep it.
Bro, he's low-key legendary. Because
we're all out. We're all out of them. So,
bro, I met the dude who runs the Whiff socials in space in Miami because he pulled up on me, and so he has a picture like holding the Wassie next to me in space.
That's sick.
Probably a legendary photo.
Man, I should have texted FaZe to post a story or something to with the Wassie. I don't know. But yeah, that was sick. Y'all looks like y'all had a good time. Why were you in Miami? Were you doing business? I mean, obviously not completely, but why were you down there?
Yeah, well, I was trying to figure out where I wanted to do New Year's at for this year, and one of my boys had like just moved to Miami. His birthday is on the 1st, so I was like, "Where?" He said to pull up. I was like, "Yeah, I'll pull up."
Cool.
So that's why I was down there. We were lit for way too many days straight, but it was cool.
It happened.
Cool.
Yeah, Answer's been on a hot streak in the order books and IRL. You can't figure it about the IRL side, so
I don't know how he does it.
It's about balance, though.
It's impressive, dude. Built different.
Built different.
It's like the Ansem Nike slogan, but it's just built different.
Yo, I should have that as a logo, like Ansem, and then built different underneath.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's a fire tag.
Yeah, would love to actually hit on something. I know famously Jim on Up Only, back when that was a very recurring show and staple to the crypto space. Jim, you made a lot of calls that ended up being like exactly right. Basically saying like take profit, and like everyone was in so much profit. I hope at least some people heeded your advice. I remember listening to it and acting on it. So appreciate the non-financial advice on that front.
Right.
But I also remember it was like take profit, and then there was also like buy land, like ammo, guns type of conversation, play golf, like that type of stuff. But I feel like that was, one of the last major updates. Would love to hear, like, you called it correctly. So kind of since then, like what's been going on your side? What have you been up to?
I've been playing golf. Like, yeah, I still trade a bit, but I've done a lot of traveling. I played a lot of golf. I've been to a lot of live music. That's kind of been my jam recently, just hitting a lot of techno stuff, and that's been good. I've met a lot of crypto people as well since that episode, which has been good. So I was at the Singapore ETH, I can't remember what it was, ETH, whatever, 20 token thing, which was
token 2049.
Yeah. But as far as like investment thesis and stuff, I don't really have one at the minute. I haven't had one for a while. Happy to just kind of trade as and when. I still get shit for being a perma bear though, even though I don't say much anymore. Like, I'll be posting like just random memes and people will just give me shit. So I kind of
now you just do
podcasts
anymore. And spaces and Twitch streams. You don't you don't do crypto anymore.
So
basically been heeding your own advice to a T, and it seems to have been working out pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess I would actually float kind of the same question to Pancakes, right? I know we've talked a lot more, and I've been more familiar with what you've been up to.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like how have what's been going on your neck of the woods, and what's up next? Like, what's on the agenda for yourself?
Yeah, really the last 3 years have been crazy, obviously, but like things have ramped up like crazy the last 3 months. Um, After I left my previous job, I pretty much was like, I realized I could kind of do um, like whatever I wanted in the space as far as jobs were concerned. Um, and you know, I think I'm excited to work with you guys on some stuff, and then um, but mainly focusing on like other than that, like Wassiverse has been a huge focus of mine, which is some merch coming soon. The art redrop for Wassiverse, and also have like some big surprise moves there. And then I just founded a company. It's a boring Web2 SaaS product. It's funny. I started the Twitter and I just clicked founder this and like got like 2,000 followers and everyone's like win token. And I'm like, it's not like the race is done. There's no token. You're gonna be bored with this. And then I'm also managing a musician full time or not. I'm kind of assisting slash co-managing, helping out Monrovia. We're about to do like a huge tour in the U.S. and then working on next year's headlining tour. What else am I doing? I'd have to look at my bio to remind me. Um, yeah, basically that. I'm pivoting back towards music a lot because that was what I did for 12 years, or about 8 years, but it's been about 12 years total since now, or till now. Pivoting towards music, pivoting towards more social, creative stuff. Kind of tired of the like working for, just random projects just for the sake of the money. Um, and as far as crypto is concerned, I'm just heavily airdropping right now. So just
I know.
airdrop season, I hope. I mean, either way, all my money's locked up in like just like lending. I'm not doing any borrowing or anything or leverage. Just finding the right protocols to lend on that I'm hoping don't rug. And yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing right now. And just have a little stash put away to last me for a bit. But like, I'm terrible at crypto, so like I can't exactly speculate or trade or do anything. I own like two shit coins and that's it, just for fun. And then I have like my little stash of high conviction plays. But yeah, uh, since the Jito airdrop, which shout out to Monkey Rothschild, he called me. He was like, "Yo, Jito's full." He's like, "Get on your computer. I'm gonna take 300 out right now. You put 300 in immediately," and I did. And then 2 weeks later, I got airdropped like 27K. I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "All right." So Sol's PR move is just give everyone a bunch of money, and I was like, "That's gonna work."
Yeah, dude.
So yeah, aside from that, I mean, I'm on a few other things other than Sol, but like mainly like Solana airdrop stuff, just really focusing on that. And then yeah, Wasi stuff, and then the artist I'm hoping to help out with long term.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I feel like the Solana airdrop, it's been a massive part of like what everyone has been talking about on crypto Twitter, at least. Like, and Z
Yeah,
is almost like the guy who people look to for like, Z, what am I doing on Solana right now? And
I
last
feel like
time
Z's just
we
talking about
spoke,
shit coins. Is he even talking
yeah,
about
Z's like,
airdrops?
I'm
I don't
literally
know.
just shitcoining.
Yeah,
No, it's funny, man. Everybody like attributes all the Solana stuff to me. I'm like, I wasn't the one designing all the airdrops, working all behind the scenes on these protocols. I was just trying to point it out to people. Like, there's a ton of solid teams over here. I know the founders. I know they're working hard behind the scenes. And it was just like the public perception was so skewed negatively against Sol. I was like, whoever is still farming this stuff, whenever people realize that this chain is not a scam, they're gonna fucking print.
yeah. I
It's
feel like
saying it
people
all
are
year.
still fading it too. Like it feels like people are just chasing shit coins still, and they're not really paying attention to the airdrops that much. Like there's a couple
Yeah.
of like high level ones that are, but there's a few behind the scene ones that are like not talked about as much. And I decided to go ahead and just early stake in, and I was like, there's got to be something there. So I was just like, I'm just like distributed across like 10 different Solana projects right now. That I actually like. Solana not turned into, it's always been, but I mean, it's such an amazing protocol and easy to use, and everything that is built on it is fun. So I'm like, whatever, this is great. So yeah, I'm full. I should have listened to Z a long time ago, but I listened to him just in time. So
I think there's a ton of people that feel that way. We talked about this last time Ansem came on, and it was literally just like Solana from the rafters over the summer, like any month, you name it, the calls were there from Ansem. So like on our end, no excuse if we slept on that. And I would ask you the same question, what have you been up to? But we had you on pretty recently, and from there I feel like you went to Miami for New Year's, and the rest is history. But in that that time,
I'm not gonna lie, I've been turned. I've been kind of like last year. I hit like a good amount of plays last year, so I've been also outside a bit because of that. But I'm actually working on like a lot of stuff behind the scenes. I'm not really public with any of it yet, but yeah, it's like soon I'll be more like open with everything I'm doing. But yeah, I'm doing a lot actually. I'm super busy.
Well, since you did last come on here, we did have a major piece of news across crypto, and that is, of course, the Bitcoin ETF. Would love to get your take. Where do we go from here? Do we get an ETH ETF? What does Larry Fink think? What does Ansem think? Where are we going?
Yeah, I mean, it's super bullish long term for the space. I think like just the dialogue around Larry Fink's discussion publicly about crypto, he's like been super bullish crypto. Like I've been surprised to the point of everything he's been saying. It's honestly been crazy. He's not just talking about Bitcoin, he's also talking about the like benefits of blockchain technology, why it's important. He's been talking about ETH, like why ETH ETF would be important. So I think it's definitely coming. I'm not sure, like I don't think it's probably like the high probability likelihood of getting approved this year probably isn't as high as it was for the Bitcoin ETF, just because of like ETH is newer and all that other stuff. But I think it's definitely coming. Like we're going.
If BitBoy has something to say about it, we might get it done real soon.
Yeah, apparently, whenever BitBoy goes to Congress or goes to the SEC, it should happen. But I think like markets wise, I think Bitcoin is probably not going to lead that much from here. I think it seems like it was priced in because alts kind of reacted harder after post ETF. So what I'm leaning on right now, I think kind of Bitcoin is going to chop around, and alts are going to do well for like the next month or so. That's where I'm at. If we do get a pullback on Bitcoin to like high 30s, I'm not leaning that way right now. But if we do, then that's probably the dip you want to buy, like across the board. Because right now we're up a decent amount, but we haven't really gotten that like scary dip yet. We haven't.
So you don't think we're gonna have a pullback before like happening? Because I'm pretty bullish on a pullback. I mean, I'm like I feel like we're gonna have a pullback before happening. I don't know.
The way I'm thinking is I kind of think Bitcoin's gonna chop around, be like sideways, and you're gonna get another leg up on alts. And then it's like when everybody starts to pile in, then you'll get the pullback. That's kind of what I'm thinking right now. But
interesting.
I mean, it definitely makes sense.
The video of Larry Fink from last week talking about crypto, I think it was like word for word how I described crypto to my mom like a month after I learned about smart contracts.
Yeah.
He's like
killed by somebody hard.
Pilled. Dude, it honestly sounds like the way he was talking about it was he was more confident than he got like briefed. I think that like the Bitcoin thing was going through, he saw he was going to make money. He's like, I want to learn about this. And then was like Larry Fink on his own personal laptop, Googling like, how does this work? Like doing his own research and just running down the rabbit hole himself. He's like, if you're trading tokenized assets and you have an identity and it's all public on the, or it's all on a public ledger.
Yeah.
It eliminates all corruption. Full stop.
I was like,
and it's like, that's like the first time you hear about crypto, you're like, oh my God, this might actually eliminate all corruption. But it's just happening to the most powerful person in all of traditional finance.
Yeah. No, it's crazy, bro. I watched that video like 5 times. I'm like, no fucking way. I was like, this is a deep fake. There's no way this is actually real. That's just crazy.
What about Jim? Jim, do you... Oh, no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's kind of funny how that argument goes both ways. Like you have some people that are quite high profile saying like this is the fuel for corruption. Like the only thing this is good for is money laundering and scamming. And then you also have like the other side of it where it's like hey, this actually prevents a lot of that
We can
kind
have
of stuff.
both, right? It's okay.
Well, ultimately, it's just like an open public ledger. Like you can kind of do with it what you want. It's a piece of technology.
I mean, I think I've been saying for a while, I think this is really the last cycle where that information asymmetry is no longer going to exist. Because if you have people like Larry Fink and BlackRock basically stamping crypto, it's like, this is not a scam. This is a legitimate different asset class. It's like there's not really much else that other people can say who have doubts about it, except for the people who are just like hell bent on ignoring it. So like that information asymmetry is no longer going to be there, and that's like a lot of what's contributed to the outsized returns that we've had in crypto the past like 10 years is because a ton of people just didn't do their research well enough to understand why this technology is actually important. And like after this cycle, I don't think that's really going to be a thing anymore. A lot more money is going to come into the space.
What Jim, I would love to hear your take on how you think Larry Fink and the Bitcoin ETF.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how bullish he's on crypto as much as he is on blockchain. And I also sort of question how bullish is it that he's basically wants to tokenize everything in order to not allow you any sort of financial freedom whatsoever. He's basically going to know every transaction you ever make. And then where does it go from there? If you say the wrong thing or you follow the wrong political agenda, etc., what kind of limitations can they put on your finances and stuff? So is it bullish on the sense that like we might be able to print more money in the sense that money is going to flood in and we make profit? Yes, but how bullish is it actually from a freedom perspective? Because I don't think it is. I think and BlackRock isn't like fucking some philanthropic like organization, are they? They're the scum of the fucking earth, really. As far as monopolizing everything, so they're going to basically monopolize your freedom, aren't they?
Yeah, I feel like with crypto, you can use like people who are in like crypto for like the philosophical beliefs, right? They believe that you should have self-sovereign ownership over your assets. Freedom is important, and that was kind of like the foundation that crypto is built on. And I agree, right? That like the way he's talking about it, it's almost like the CBDC side, right? Like you can use public blockchain for surveillance as well, and that is something that a lot of crypto people are against.
I think people's priorities. Well, not priorities. What's the word I'm trying to think of?
Incentives.
I personally joined crypto because I had this sort of like whimsical idea of self-sovereignty and stuff, like everyone else. And I think the zeitgeist shifted to where people don't care about that anymore. They care about money going up, which is a form of self-sovereignty in itself. Like if you make enough money, you become self-sovereign because you're financially independent. But it's like at the cost of like what the idea of crypto was in the first place. I think people have shifted to being profit maxis as opposed to independence and privacy maxis. So it's a double-edged sword, really.
I would say like if we want to take the optimistic side too, right? Like everyone loves to paint a picture of like, oh yeah, 5 years from now, like everything in the world stinks. Like I would say potentially, right? If that is the path that BlackRock wants to take, and like they buy up a bunch of crypto and they sell it to all the boomers, it's like you're watching a PGA Tour event and it's like a Rolex commercial, and then like Larry Fink telling you should be buying Bitcoin, right? Like the asset class does well. You increase the amount of surveillance that's possible, but you also like there's a lot of ways to engineer privacy into crypto as well. So I feel like even if ETH is ripping and they're trying to tokenize everything, right? Like you can use like a privacy centric ZK rollup if you want to have assets that people aren't looking at. So I do think maybe it's like stage one is you get that mega boom. People realize that they actually do want some form of privacy, right? Like Zuko has that amazing post that's like privacy is normal, right? Like there's a reason there's a curtain on your shower, right? Like you don't want everything to be public to everyone. But I feel like you can beat it with innovation in the space too.
I definitely agree with that. I mean, there's a lot of projects kind of working on solving those problems. I don't think I would say like the past few years in crypto, we haven't been big enough to the point where it's like we need those like real solutions for privacy. But I definitely agree with Jim that like BlackRock is aware that if you tokenize everything and they can see everything, like, and they own all of that, it's like, it's almost kind of like Mr. Robot. If you know, I don't know if we all watched Mr. Robot, where the dude's like, there's Bitcoin, and then we can have like fucking S, or what is it, S coin or whatever they call it, F coin or whatever. But it's like they know if you have a fully public like ledger that they can own and see everything that's going on. But I do think that there are a lot of teams working on privacy solutions. I think you can have native, I want to say like native privacy on Solana. I think one of the teams is Elusive. I'm not sure what the other team name is off my head. And then there's also teams like, I've been looking into Nillion, which is interesting. What they're doing around like NPC innovation is pretty cool. Like you should be able to do a lot with handling large amounts of data in a private way and doing like operations on them. But there's a ton of smart teams. It's just like you have to go through the time to research them and like find them. But there are still people in crypto that have that same like cyberpunk mindset, and aren't just focused on money. It's just like they're not as loud on Twitter as all the traders are.
Well, we're depending on you to find that for us and tweet it out. So,
hey man, that's what I do.
As long as it's got a hat on,
or at least text me about
with
it.
Hat. I got you.
Yeah.
Do you guys think this is potentially extremely confusing for the common person that's not like on crypto Twitter, probably not very crypto aware, especially to see the headlines like crypto is in 2021, it was, oh, crypto is great, this is going to happen, this is awesome, this is going to change the world, and then it flips to, oh, crypto bad, like very bad for a year.
Same thing in
or
17.
two.
Like I saw it flip immediately. It was like up, everything's good, and then it was like, we told you it's a scam, and I was like, okay, well, it happens every time. So this time it's different. I don't know. It's weird.
It's crazy, man. I mean, I think it's kind of on us to help with the educational piece of that. I mean, that's kind of like what I want to focus on a lot for this cycle is like, there needs to be a place where people can go to who have zero idea what crypto is and can like get good information on how to get up to speed on crypto, like learn stuff relatively quickly and also be up to speed on like what's going on in the day-to-day of crypto. That's like one of the things I really want to fix for this upcoming cycle, because I feel like a lot of the people that we have kind of like front facing on YouTube and these other sites, they're not doing a great job of kind of like protecting that new retail person who has no idea what crypto is. It's like that information flow that they get now, if you're not deep in the weeds on CT and know which account has like good reputation, they have no way of vetting people, no way of vetting like which projects are good, like who they should be listening to. So it's kind of like on us, I feel like CT as a unit to help with that. But
I had a friend come into the space who was like a lawyer, and she was like tired of like just that world, wanted to come into crypto, and was like, oh cool, like I'll send you a list of people you should follow. And she was like, oh, I won't name drop, like this person, this person, this person. I was like, oh no. I was like, this is like literally everyone you just named is just not, it's like they've already been through the scam shit, or we're pretty sure they're about to, or like whatever it is. It's tough, man. It's really tough, especially because we're so, I think, intimidating. A lot, like just as a whole, like deep crypto is really intimidating. We're not exactly we're welcoming, but it doesn't come off that way. So it's kind of tough. Like it's like the Web3 or like the NFT community seems more welcoming, and like that 2021 cycle. But really, like if you know who you're looking at in the deep crypto space that have been here since for 3 cycles, we might seem intimidating, but we're actually a lot more welcoming than people think. And that's really where you're going to get the actual correct information from. But Z's right. Like it's really tough to find. So we need larger platforms that are talking about it. Not Mario Narfall.
Yeah, I agree, bro. I agree. It's definitely fixable though. Like we just need people with the same amount of distribution who know what they're talking about.
Yeah. And I would, Jim, I would love to pick on something you just said a second ago, right? Where it's like, if you do well enough, then you can become self-sovereign. And I not to keep coming back to this quote, but when you were like, buy land, like say someone is at the point, right, where they did pretty well, like what are the steps to coming kind of like off the grid? And like, are you just buying like a bunch of land and, stocking up on canned goods that don't go bad,
Basically,
or
like
yeah.
I don't want to say I'm a doomsday kind of guy, but I do invest in stuff that is finite in high demand, and it can also be a unit of exchange, because we are going away from being, we're going to cashless society, which I think is really like a negative. Like having a middleman for every transaction is just fucking shit. So I do think about that, why. So I do have a lot of physical metals and things. But I don't know. I still ponder it myself because I'm worried that we get to a point where it's almost not going to be possible. That's my concern.
I think it gets harder over time for sure. Or like the farther you go before you make it go off grid.
I'm actually very anti-tech. I'm very anti-tech. I think the progression in tech, whilst it's making, obviously we're technologically advanced, but I think it's the detriment of like human experience and like what true human experience should be. And I think it's in going forward and progressing in tech, I think we're actually losing something and going backwards in things that actually are more important. That's my view.
Can you unpack that a little further? Because I think that's a super interesting opinion, especially like we're talking about crypto here. It's like a technological advancement, and I understand where you're coming from completely, but I would love to kind of hear you unpack that.
Well, I think we're lacking actual human engagement and connection through technology. It's adding a middleman to every sort of transaction, whether it be relationships or financial, and we're losing that essence of connection. Like the time I spent in Singapore, that place is a fucking horrible, not just an awful place, like dystopian place. And I think I think the world is gravitating and progressing towards that state where it's identityless. Is that the word? What's the word? Like it's lacking. It's got zero identity. There's really very little to do. It's like lost its personality. It almost needs a bit of filth to give it some sort of personality. It's sterile. And yeah, it just seems like everyone's pretty unhappy there, and they're filling the void with like consumerism and quick sort of positive like reinforcement through TikTok. Just short attention span garbage that gives you like messes with your like ability to produce.
I think that's why me and Jim decided. Like, me and Jim have become good friends over the last few months when we met. And we decided to start a podcast and a weekly spaces together because we were both like, man, we just kind of want to talk about stuff and just have like real human conversation about not necessarily crypto, just talk, and because we're both people that are in the crypto space, it'll kind of bridge those gaps. But yeah, I agree with Jim completely where it's like my homies and stuff, they're addicted to TikTok and they're addicted to I don't like scroll my Instagram feed. You know what I mean? I can't I'm actually pretty bearish on social media as a whole. Unfortunately, I'm just good at it. So I have to keep with it for now until I reach a certain level. But I really very much can't wait for the day to where I can delete all of it. I'm really, I don't know. It just gives me a bad feeling.
I think
it's almost like it's almost like that boil the frog, kind of like old wise saying, right? Like if you put a frog in boiling water, it jumps right out. But if you put the frog in and then you slowly turn up the heat, then you boil it. I do feel like the kind of small encroachment on like privacy and personal life and real life experience, like on a 6-month time horizon, right? Like maybe one new app comes out that you don't really notice. But if you took someone from like the 90s and put them in today, they're like, what do you mean 98% of my time is spent looking at either my phone or computer or a TV? Like how is that the future?
Yeah, so we're all that weird middle ground that saw the beginning all the way till now, right? So like we're all in the same age range. So we saw that kind of progress. So we're all super used to it. But it is kind of insane. Like it's actually kind of crazy and dystopian. Because I remember barely being able to connect to the internet, and then like phone calls interrupting my internet connection and like in the house, and like all the way up until now where we're doing this, we're just on like an iPhone, and it's like this is cool. But then when you have people like I seem like family member, younger family members just scrolling TikTok like 7-8 hours a day, I'm like, oh no. Like what? Like no. Like what? Like what does the next generation of like jobs look like? I don't know. Like no one wants to be a doctor or a lawyer anymore. No one wants to do anything except be famous on social media. And it's like, what the fuck happens then? Like I don't know. It's very strange.
I think it's
I think it's like a pendulum, honestly. It's kind of like we're
Yeah.
swinging towards that more online side right now, but I think eventually it comes like back down towards the middle.
Yeah.
I do agree. Like it's important to figure out how to be present and away from tech for like a set amount of time, like on a daily
Mhm.
basis, like weekly basis. I say that a lot. Like it even because especially with crypto bull markets, you can get wrapped up. You literally could spend 16 hours a day online, if not more, if you really wanted to. And you can do it and you make an excuse for doing it because you're making money. So it's like the more time I spend online, the more money I'm making, the more locked in I am, the less new launches I miss. Like I need to be online all the time because I need to be making money. And there's an argument to be made around that, but it's difficult to snap out of that mindset longer term if you do it for months on end and don't really kind of like you're not aware that you're doing it really. So that's why I say like even if you're trading off like frequently more than you like would normally be, make sure you don't like ignore all your homies, like still go to shit outside, like still do like real life events. And it sounds like funny to say that you need to actually tell people to do that, but
Yeah.
it happens without you noticing really. Especially
Well,
if you're deep in crypto, but it's
I mean,
important.
it's more than just months, right? Like I've seen people that have made generational wealth within a cycle and then be just as excited about the next one. And I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Like you've already,
It could be years.
like you've already made it. Why are you doing this to yourself again? And but it becomes a personality, and like it's this like just max. Like I'm not like a I'm obviously I love money's great, but it's like money's like a tool for me to just like I just
Time.
want to be comfortable, and it's just a tool to help loved ones and that. But like people talk about like what's your number and all that, and like I don't know exactly, but whatever it is, I do have one, and it's like at some point you got to stop. Like at some point you got to move on. And ironically though, like there's some tech that like we like there's tech that can be figured out that can incentivize more in real life meetups and hangouts and like really bring the human side back to this. It just hasn't been made yet, and right now we're still in this weird phase of like we really feel like we're in a Black Mirror episode, or at least I do because we're just all on the timeline every day. So it's
Yeah.
like I dedicated myself. I moved to Argentina because I was like I'm taking the next 3 years to really make this work, and it has to work this time or I'm fucked mentally because like I can't keep doing this. So yeah,
Yeah.
I admit it that like I'm fully bought into that dystopia right now, but I'm finally able like with the music stuff. I'm like the music stuff to me is the most personable, creative thing I can do. So if I'm slowly pivoting from crypto to music, which even with music, I'm still working on blockchain, like with Imogen and like them, like she's been in blockchain for 8 years. Like people don't realize that, and she's working on some crazy stuff. So like even the stuff I'm working on with them and like Tim Exile, it's still blockchain related, but it's not like deep trenches crypto stuff on the timeline all day. It's like it's more personable. You're talking to people in real life. You're talking about like putting on shows and helping the creative side of life be more enhanced. But right now, I'm fully like Black Mirror pilled until I hit where I need to hit.
Yeah, I think the pendulum analogy is a pretty great point, right? Because like for me personally, it was largely the community and the relationships that you could build with like-minded people all over the globe that first not that first got me into crypto, but that helped me get really hooked on crypto because I was able to, develop these relationships and meet people that were like-minded in a sense, and it didn't feel like the toxic nonsense that was so prevalent on a lot of mainstream social medias. It felt like, yeah, we want to find a way to make money out of this, but at the end of the day, we're kind of cheering for this core ethos of crypto, this decentralization, this privacy, this elimination of middlemen. So yeah, I think that's like a pretty spot on take, and certainly would love to see the pendulum swing back away from some of this like 1984 like crazy
Yeah.
dystopia type of stuff. but like circling back here more towards the crypto side of things, obviously the market's been going kind of crazy throughout the fall, the past few months. I think a lot of people really didn't expect things to come on so quickly price wise like they did. And I know you agree with that, Ansem. I'm kind of stealing your words from the last time we had you on. But want to get kind of everyone's take on this individually. Do you think this cycle is truly different from previous cycles that we've had, or is it a copy pasta at the end of the day with some nuances?
I don't think. I mean, I think any asset that goes parabolic is going to eventually go down like 70-80%. I think that's like that, you can't escape that no matter which asset class it is. Like if something goes up too high, eventually the profit taking is going to happen. What I do think this cycle where it's going to be different is you're going to have more passive flows, I think, towards the end of this cycle that we didn't have in previous cycles. So I just think like as just with any asset class, when you're $1 trillion, obviously there's a lot more volatility than if you're $10 trillion. So if it's a $10 trillion asset class, in crypto gets to be that big, I think generally the volatility is going to go down as crypto gets bigger. So I think I wouldn't say that this cycle is different, but it's going to gradually get less and less volatile, I think. And hopefully we have also less bad actors as like time goes on. I think with like a lot of the regulatory stuff that we've had the past couple of years, the current ongoing case with Coinbase against the SEC and like how all the assets they have listed on Coinbase, I think like once you have those regulations more kind of like hard set, I think it's like it'll be clearer that like there should be less scams, I think, in crypto. I think like a lot of the financial kind of like rules and regulations that we have now are outdated for how crypto operates. And like eventually somebody's going to realize that and make some modifications to what we currently have that exists, so that they're more like tailored to crypto, or like some crypto specific type of laws. I think it's going to happen. So I wouldn't say this time is different, but I do think it's like gradually getting more similar to how stocks move.
Yeah, I think with the ETF, I've been memeing on the timeline how like the ETF means nothing to me and I don't care and all this stuff, and like it's not affecting what I'm doing and everything. And what I mean by that is like in like the time that I plan to be here, it just doesn't really. I just don't care as much. I think we'll see like I think what Z was alluding to, more of a flattening of like the volatility of like Bitcoin and maybe even ETH and some other top coins over the course of like bear markets. I'm actually curious, real quick, from Z, if you think, even though if we see like normal market flow with Bitcoin and maybe even ETH and something like that, are we still going to have these cycles of like new things coming up in shitcoins and like airdrops? And I feel like this is the last really big airdrop season. I don't know. It feels really unsustainable, but also all of this seems fake to me, or unreal. Like it doesn't, so you just never know what to expect. But like, do you think we'll still see cycles in like a lower level if you're still in the trenches, or do you think that'll kind of flatten out too?
No, I think it's still going to happen. I think like if you go back to 2017, a lot of alts just like all moved at the same time together. There was not really a lot of differentiation between how alts, like altcoin cycles, move. And now in 2024, there's a lot of different subsectors, I think, for altcoins in a way that they're so different from each other that they don't all have to move at the same time. And I think as the crypto space matures and we have actual real businesses, real protocols building on all these different blockchains, not all the alts are going to go at the same time. And there's still going to be a lot of information asymmetry there just because of how new the asset class is generally. But I do agree that airdrops are going to get less and less profitable because that Jito airdrop was insane. Like there was no way there should have only been 8,000 addresses farming that. Like
that was the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, just like completely ridiculous because everybody missed it. And at the time I was saying for months, I was like, I don't know how everybody doesn't see this, but everybody missed it. So I don't want to say it like could never happen again, but it's just like it's highly doubtful in my mind that people don't have at least processes for trying out all these protocols. Like if you have like millions of dollars in crypto and you're not deployed on like a lot of these new teams or like solid teams using all the new stuff, you're fucking up basically. Like even like from a risk reward perspective, even if it's not a lot of capital, like you're fucking up. And I think a lot of people realized that last year. It's just probably not gonna be that easy for retail to just print money out of thin air.
Yeah, I think that's a great take, and want to make sure to get a take from Jim as well. How do you think this cycle is potentially different?
I think one of the most dangerous thoughts and questions you can have is this time different? Because it never is.
Never has been.
The entire history of financial markets, we do the same shit over and over and over again. So no, it's not going to be different. But it doesn't need to be. Like, you know, people are gonna, you know, the thing with financial markets is you need to understand people as opposed to the instrument in which you're trading, because it's the only interaction engagement with the instrument that has any effect or ramifications. The instrument is a non-factor, you know, and people have the same impulses, the same fear, the same greed, you know, and it'll play out like it always has. I'm literally looking at a book right now, A Short History of Financial Euphoria. Go and read it. It's good.
Send me that, bro. I'm about to write that down right now.
Yeah. So no, but again, as far as like what Z was saying about volatility and stuff, I'm not sure necessarily whether it's going to be a muting of volatility as much as it is a muting. Like I think the market gets more efficient as opposed to less volatile. So I think as participation and the market gets smarter, it becomes less likely to get sort of opportunities through inefficiency. Like we've seen that over the last year. You don't get the wipeouts that we're used to. You know, the market's much more efficient because people are expecting them now, which is why, you know, it doesn't readily give them.
This almost didn't feel like a bear market. Like money wise, this felt like a bear market, but like, especially with the 2021 people that came in, like they were still holding spaces and stuff every night throughout the entire bear market. And they were bullish on their Azukis and Bored Apes and all their, you know, it was like, nobody really, like, I mean, a lot of people left, but like it was surprising to see how many people stayed because of, I guess, euphoria. And then like there were a lot of people like us we've seen this 3 or 4 times. So yeah, I think each bear market is going to feel less like a bear market, more like a preparation market, as opposed to just like everyone. Like I think we're going to care less about like everything going down and more about like looking for what's next and important. Because in 2017, I completely left the market. Like I was like, this is bullshit. I sold to the bottom and just like traveled to Thailand and just like, you know, whatever. And then, you know, learned to stick around. But I think people are catching on that like sticking around through this is actually really where you make your money. I think we'll see more of that.
Here's a take that most people won't like. It wouldn't shock me if the market was muted and boring for 12 months now, honestly. Because all I hear is that this cycle, everyone starts the sentence with this cycle after 12 months of fucking up only. Like you look at, there's not really been many instances where the market's trended higher for more than like 200-300 days. And we've already had that. And I think people are overestimating the impact this ETF has in the short term. Like it's going to probably be 12 months before a lot of these people even are like pushing it onto their clients and stuff, like aggressively. So it wouldn't surprise me if we were corrected or had 6 to 12 months of real boring shit that really tests people, because it just sounds like everyone's expecting it, like the trend to just start after we've gone up 100%. You know, I think people are a bit stupid in that sense. So, and I don't really see much inflows as far as new money coming in. I think it's definitely been crypto natives that have cottoned on early and pushed the markets higher. You know, for instance, like I can see a single entity executing on Coinbase all day, and that's because there's no one else executing other than him. Like he's having that much market, you know. Like there's like usually if it's a high participation market, he could hide his footprint in the data, but it's like the only person trading on there at the minute, which isn't indicative of a bull market, in my opinion. So I think there's a difference between bull markets and trends, and we've had a very strong trend. And I question how much further we go over the next sort of few months.
I feel like the higher up you go on like CoinGecko's page, the more similar the cycle looks to last time. And the farther down the kind of longer tail of crypto, the more different it looks, right? Like Bitcoin cycle very likely looks very similar to past. Ethereum also probably looks very similar, maybe a little bit different. I do very much expect some form of consumer facing application to be like a big catalyst and driver for this next cycle, right? I think that we've had about two real years of people that can build highly scalable apps that like rely on crypto to function correctly. People obviously got super excited about gaming. The gaming companies that launched like right away into that hype, right? There was, less than a year of work behind them, not a ton to show for it. I think there's a lot of experimentation that's happened in the past, and now there's going to be a few high quality shots on net for apps that get like, over 1 million daily active users, and like it's running on crypto in the background and people don't even realize it. Like
that's a good point I've been trying to make to people. Like I had an argument with somebody in Spaces the other day about like the difference between like, do we want should we focus heavily on like educating everyone on how to like bridge all these chains and all this, or should we be focusing on like how to build tech that people don't even realize that crypto's or the blockchain's working in the background? Because it's like, same thesis, like no one knows you don't know how your iPhone works, but you just use it, So I'm really bullish on apps that are blockchain based, that are benefiting the user because of its use cases, but you don't have to be some kind of like super blockchain native human to use it. I think this is the cycle where we can build those things, and I think I think we'll see maybe 2 or 3 of those things pop off. I would love for like at least one to go mainstream. It would be great. I think it's possible. I think the tech is there, everything's there. It just takes the right team to execute on the right things at the right time. But we're in this position now where we can make an app, a social app, or whatever, a consumer-driven app that's completely blockchain based, but everybody can use it without even really realizing they're using blockchain. I think that's the most important thing to me, because you can. We can talk about educating people all day. We can educate the people that are in the trenches, but like, governments can't even educate their high school students correctly. So like, what do we think we're going to do? You know what I mean? Like we're not going to educate the world on something. So it's like, we got to build things that are backed by this technology that are just simple to use, just honestly simple to use, simple to onboard, offboard with things they're already used to. And with that will come slow understanding of what's going on, but mainly just implementing apps that, I think social driven, maybe not SoFi specifically because it's such a weird word, but like just consumer driven, social driven apps that are so seamless that you can use it without really even knowing anything about crypto. And I think I'm really bullish on that. That's really the only projects I want to work on, like as far as like long term. And because I just think that's the only thing that's going to work.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty spot on in terms of, like, we've already discussed how difficult it is to welcome new people into crypto, and part of that's the culture, part of that's like the early stage of the technology, but part of it's the friction in just like onboarding yourself from a tech perspective to crypto. I know Kevin had to jump off for another call, so we'll wrap up here in a minute or so, but we've started to take a page from Kobe and Ledger's book on Up Only and wrap up with final alpha from all the guests. So would love to get any crazy predictions, any crazy takes you have, or just advice for people who are either new to crypto or seasoned in crypto. The alpha's up to you, but I know everyone listening will be pumped to hear it.
So let's let the Z go first, because this is gonna be tough.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's
I don't
tough.
know. I feel like I mean, I've kind of said it a few times. I think the most underlooked area, I think, in crypto early last year, I thought it was Solana. I think Solana has been repriced to like a more reasonable place now. I still think it's going a lot higher. I think it's closing the gap between ETH like substantially. And I think there's like the focus on consumer apps on mobile and also Solana, I think is going to be big. But I think the most underlooked area like right now is probably Cosmos. I think the roll-ups area. I think that there's a lot of interesting things that you can do with IBC as far as like enshrining rollups either at the settlement layer and using IBC like to build the fraud proofs in like natively that way. I think the design is just better generally than it is than a lot of the ETH rollups currently. And I think there's a lot of strong teams over there that are building out all of those different architecture like Celestia, Dimension. There's a few others like Sovereign Labs also working on stuff. I think Initia is also a newer one, kind of working on something similar. So that's like the area that I think people aren't like paying as much attention to now, in the same way that I think people weren't really paying attention to Sol earlier last year. What else stuff? I'm trying to figure out what my AI X DPIN, like those two areas I think are going to be huge. I don't have a like solid view on what I think is the 100x there, but I 100% think that the AI X crypto bubble is going to be crazy. And I think the boomers, for them, like decentralized physical infrastructure, if they look at how it improves costs for a lot of these businesses, that's one of the things that's easy for them to understand if crypto shows like a really big unlock there. So those are like the two main things I'm pretty bullish on that, and like, so I guess consumer apps, Cosmos rollups, and then AI X DPIN. Those are like my three areas, I would say. Oh, and memes. I think memes are going to be fucking ridiculous.
Memes,
Always.
I think it's going to
memes can make you $15K a month. Come on, meme it up.
Dude, I think it's going to be crazy. I think like the attachment, because people saw Doge go fucking insane last cycle, and Elon was the one like pushing it super hard. But I think you're going to have a lot more of those situations where it's like there's a ton of people gambling on fucking like parlays, sports betting, all that shit, where they don't really have a high expectation of making money on them. Like they'll do a $5 parlay and try to hit it for like $1,000. Like it's very low likelihood that you're going to hit that. People play the fucking lottery, like all that shit. That is like different from investing fundamentally in crypto. I think like there's fundamental value in crypto, like applications, protocols that are really contributing in a meaningful way to consumers. And then there's meme coins, which is like, it's kind of a reflection of how absurd society has gotten, to the point where people will just like throw some cash at things thinking they could possibly get 100x, 1000x, whatever. And it's true. It's like a lot of people are just in bad economic situations, and it's like they're going to gamble on shit anyway because they don't really see any other ways of getting out of them. I think meme coins are going to be absurd.
Well, that's where all the X's are, right? People ask me why I don't buy a bunch of Bitcoin, and it's like, well, I don't have volume for it to really matter at this point, you know. And especially new people coming into the space, it's like, well, I need 100x, I don't need a 2x, you know. It's just not realistic. So
yeah, so I guess 4 things for me.
Yeah, that's quite a lot of alpha. You are never short on alpha, that's for sure.
What about you, Jim? What's the alpha?
Yeah, any alpha besides golf?
I'm not sure about alpha.
Land?
I might have a prediction. Like my gut instinct is telling me that NFTs have a resurgence. I think like digital intellectual property is going to be like the chatter soon, and I think my gut tells me that the Apple VR set is like a catalyst for a resurgence in that side of things. So that's something I'm interested in. As far as alpha, I think eat healthy and hug your mums is
the best
good alpha.
Yeah. Read books, take baths. Yeah, that's good.
That's 10 out of 10, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm not an alpha guy. I've never been an alpha account or anything, but I have learned a lot over the last 7 years. And you know, one of my biggest pieces of alpha is listen to Z. No, you know, not to put too much, not to put a lot of pressure on you, but like, you know, he does a lot more research than people give him credit for, that no one else is going to do. For me, the alpha right now is. I don't even know if it's alpha. It's just what I'm hoping for and what I'm bullish on is consumer based apps, like I said earlier, that are seamless with blockchain, that actually have a real benefit in the real world. I've actually been introduced to a couple teams that are doing some really interesting stuff, some in the music space, some more broad, but like I'm like actually excited about, that actually makes sense. So I don't know that there's a really alpha there, but I think that's I'm hoping that's what we see. As far as alpha, I would just say like I still think people are fading like Solana airdrop season. I still think that's being faded pretty hard because there's like, you know, there's other things other than like just margin fi and Jupiter that are going on in Solana, and no one's really talking about them that much. Everyone's just chasing shit coins. And me personally, I haven't got like really jumped into the Cosmos ecosystem that much, which I'll probably send Z a text right after this to give me like, hey, where should I head? Like, what direction should I go in to learn that stuff? Because I just haven't had time. Like, I've been trying to figure out what my life looks like for the next couple of years. But I think if you're coming in new to this and you're here like I was in 2017, like broke, trying to get that next like tax bracket jump, it's paying attention to the right people and seeing the protocols you should be testing out and using. And honestly, like one of my favorite ones right now that I think is really underrated is like Parcel. I think Parcel is super underrated for what you can do there because it's you can bring like people can bet on like housing markets and stuff in countries and cities. You don't even have to know anything about crypto to do that. You can come in and just be smart in your area and gamble and like it's the only thing I've ever used leverage on ever and like succeeded because I just did one fun little trade. And it was like it hit me. It was like, oh, this is something that like non-crypto native people can use, um, and actually benefit from without knowing a lot about crypto. So that, and then I think high conviction plays are really underrated right now. They always have been. Like nobody has high conviction. You see the timeline change every day. Like everyone just goes where everyone else is going. And I've kind of had the same thesis for the last like year and a half of like what my I don't ever talk about what I own, but like I'm more of a high conviction person now because I'm so bad at trading shitcoins. So I just kind of make my bets and buy what I think is going to do well in the cycle, and then hopefully become more of a, I'm shifting more into like a builder or an investor or just working with teams that I think are going to build the apps that are going to work for the mainstream. But yeah, mainly I guess advice wise coming in if you're brand new, um, really seeking out the right places to get I really hate like airdrop seems so like corny to me sometimes and like easy too easy, but it's real right now. Like right in this moment, it's real. Like you can make some money off some airdrops, and it's like pay attention to it and follow the right people, and then figure out what you're highly convicted on, and then and just be convicted on it, and don't let the timeline sway you one way or the other unless you actually have a big change of opinion based off of whatever. But so far, my high conviction plays haven't changed. And yeah, that's just what my thesis has been for the last like 18 months. Or and get a job, get a fucking job, get a fucking job. Like if you
keep
need
your job.
like if you need a job, get a job.
Keep your
Like you're
job.
not gonna like. I tried so long to make crypto my only thing, and I was like, because I've been an entrepreneur since I was 18, and it hurt me so much to have to take my first crypto job. And I was like, actually, this is kind of smart because you're forced to be plugged in. You're getting paid better than anybody in any other industry, and you're getting capital to put in the market. Just quit just complaining on the timeline all day and just get a fucking job and read books and go outside.
And hug your mom.
Yeah,
Hug your
100%.
mom.
Take a
Hug your
bath.
mom.
And take a bath. Yeah. Well, my
Epsom salt bath.
final.
Oh yeah.
Well, my final alpha is keep watching the pipeline because it enables me to chat with absolute legends like we have here today. Super grateful to have had Pancakes, Jim, and Ansem on, as well as Kevin co-hosting for most of this episode here. Really grateful to have had you all on. Had a great time. Appreciate it.
Super fun.
Cheers.
I'll show my thing. Wassies soon, really soon. Big shit coming.
Why?
I'm about to text Z some alpha because we got some cool shit coming that we